deserve to have the best physical, mental, spiritual. Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. We are here after a heartbreaking defeat. I'd like to say my Jaguars lost to the Bills, but I played for the Bills too. But I'm more loyal to the Jaguars. I was here for 7 years and played for the Bills for 1 year, so I think my loyalty. Plus, I live here, obviously, so. My loyalty stays with the Jags, but yeah, that was a tough one. It was very difficult to watch certain plays, but you know we played well. Buffalo's just a good team. They outperformed us, and we always Tom Coughlin is always big on give credit where credit's due. Respect all but fear none. Those type of things were something that Tom would always reiterate to us, and it makes sense. I have so much more respect for athletes, and every kicker. I've probably mentioned this too before, is that every kicker that came in to compete with me, I was friends with. I wasn't that kind of guy that was gonna, I gotta make him look bad or do something, or I was like, if he kicks a good ball, I'm gonna tell him, hey man, that was a good kick. Or whatever. So I'm just kind of I'm a very humble type of person where I'm competing against myself ultimately, and if I perform well, then my job is safe. If I don't perform well, it's my own fault. So, anyways, I just wanted to just break the ice with the whole Jaguar thing. The season's over now, and so we're gonna look for the off season. But we got a lot of good talent, so I'm definitely excited for next year already. It's only been a day after the season's ended for us, but. We'll be back. We'll be back strong, and hopefully we've learned some things this year. I mean, we went from 4-13 to 13-4, so that was a huge deal for us as a city, as a franchise, and pretty cool stuff. And I think our coach Liam should get the head coach of the year. But we'll see. So today we're going to talk a little about some. Food, and more specifically the food pyramid. That the pyramid was just redone after many years, and I remember there was periods of time where I think they tried to implement cereal on it, and just some really strange stuff. And you can kind of tell in looking at the old versus the new, and I'll have a slide up for us to kind of look at. And kind of compare the two, but it's literally almost backwards. It's almost they've taken everything that. For the longest time since, and this old pyramid was based on studies in the 60s, that were flawed and just not good, outdated clearly. But it's backwards, like totally flipped, like everything they told you to eat a lot of, and now they're telling you to eat a little of, So now this is not going to fix our problem with our unbelievably unhealthy country. But it's going to help. It's going to help people to kind of understand and recognize, and the people that don't get it yet, this is something that's going to be a little bit more eye-opening. However, the people that have lived for so long through this whole era where, red meat is bad and egg yolks are bad and all, they're going to question it. And I think they kind of already are. I think there's a lot of people out there that say, well, it used to be like red meat's, bad for us. Now you're telling me that's good. Well, I have my own theories on this, and don't kill the messenger or whatever, but I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there from our educational systems, our medical systems. The Rockefeller family, a long time ago took over a lot of that. I don't know if you know this, and again, this is kind of a side note, but Ghislaine Maxwell, Robert Maxwell is her dad, and he's like not a really good person. Okay. He's responsible he's got the monopoly over creating, used to, I guess, but creating our textbooks. So he's having some information that, he's putting his information in these textbooks. Now, what we just know what we know. We know what we're taught. And I'm telling you that there's a lot of colleges and places that have been teaching the wrong kind of things, in my opinion, when it comes to just, the natural state of what our foods do for us. And you think about, I'll get into it, but there's a lot of things that people don't understand or don't realize, that you think things are bad for you. I talk a lot about, the industry and big profit. Big pharma is in it for big profits. Our food industry is in it for big profits. Crafts, you're all those big, huge corporations that own all the other corporations that produce all of our processed foods and all of our fast foods and all that junk that we have being accustomed to eating. They're all controlled by one huge corporation. Kraft Foods, do some research on Kraft Foods. They own a lot. Okay. And it's in like Mars bars, that company owns a lot as well. I think they might be intermixed as well. But my point is that there's been so much control over who's got the power and who's got the money. And now the people that don't, they want you to be addicted to their foods. And that will be another episode. I've been watching some things that I've seen that I'm not happy with, where food companies are being hired by, or they're hiring people to make their foods addictive. And I think we covered that a little bit a couple of episodes ago. But before we get started, we're going to play another video as well later on in the episode here tonight. But before we get started, let's catch up with our sponsor here. We're a quick word from our sponsor, and we get back. I'll cue up the video that I'm going to show you. I don't want to get political in here, because I do have a couple pictures of two different people who happen to be instrumental in our health, and one's an old one and one's a new one. So you'll see it and you'll know what I mean. But when I show you the pictures in the video, you'll see them. So without further ado, here's a quick word from our sponsor, and when we get back, we'll talk about the food pyramid.
At 3, we want to give you the true health benefits that you're paying for, something you can feel and see a difference quickly. Each product is packed with powerful plant-based nutrients that are combined through a proprietary curation process and then infused with innovative cellular absorption technologies to ensure the nutrients absorb into the cells for maximum wellness. The quality and effectiveness of our life-changing products is evident by their approval to be included in the well-known Prescriber's Digital Reference, or PDR. PDR has been a valuable resource to the medical doctors and providers in the healthcare community for decades. Our products are GMO-free, clinically studied, and third-party tested, all designed to support health and proactive wellness for everyone.
Welcome back. Throughout the longest time, forever ago, our society was kind of based on the foods that we were eating, and kind of what was really in them, and how is it affecting us. And again, when I say a long time ago, maybe before the 60s, because this point I'm trying to make is it started around the 60s, where our food industries, and again, this is a little bit of an assumption from me. They determined that people were getting unhealthy or fat because our foods were high in fat, for the most part, or for some part, I guess, right? So we've got all these companies and organizations and huge industries telling us now that we need to take the fat out of the food, and they discovered that you're making these low fat foods. Well, they didn't taste good, because fat does taste good. So when there's fatty substances in our food, it kind of tastes good, right? So what happened was they figured, well, we'll replace the fat, and then we'll replace that with sugars. And so that's when the sugars epidemic pretty much came in. So we're now eating a lot of processed sugars in foods, within our processed foods, of course. And so that's now caused a lot of problems. And this is, started in the 60s, but I think around the 80s, it became a really big, significant change, where we're starting to decrease the fat in the foods. But in order for these food companies and corporations to make a profit and still sell their items and their food products, they had to make them taste good, because if they took the fat out, they didn't taste good, and people would stop eating them. Well, we got to make them taste good. Nowadays, we're making food addictive on purpose. That's a side note. But my point is that sugar became a big deal. And now, fast forward about 20, 40 years, we're now, 40, 50 years, we're actually understanding, 60 years, we're actually understanding, we know now that sugars are not good for us. High fructose corn syrup and things like that, you look at the ingredients list of food items back in the day, and you can see a lot more food and chemicals and ingredients in our foods now. And I think that's a huge deal, and not in a good deal, not a good way, because it's clearly, we're causing a lot of problems with us as a nation, and they've made us the sickest nation in the world, really. And you think about all the big pharma and all the access we have, all these drugs and things that can help us, yet the obesity keeps rising. You look at pictures of people back in the 60s, 70s, 80s at the beaches; they're all like good shape, they're all thin and active and all that. Look at us now. So there's been a huge increase of obesity and health problems that come from that, of course. It all stems around our food. And so without further ado, I'm going to show you a quick video. You're going to see Rachel Levine. You're going to see RFK in there. Just understand, I'm not trying to make a political point. I'm just sharing that there's a difference between the two, clearly. I don't know what Rachel Levine ever did for us as a nation when he was in office with the Biden administration. I have no idea what good came out of that health-wise. Did anything change? I have no idea. Okay, so I should tell you something there. Okay, so now we're seeing a lot of changes with the vaccines. Well, RFK, taking a lot of vaccines out, which I think is amazing. You guys might disagree with me, but I'm telling you, those vaccines are not good with you or for you at all. So again, without further ado, I'm gonna play a quick clip. I think it's a little over a minute. I can't remember, and then kind of give you an idea of what I'm going to talk about, what the significant difference is. So here's that video clip.
Today marks the beginning of the end of an era of medical dogma on nutrition. For decades, we've been fed a corrupt food pyramid that has had a myopic focus on demonizing natural, healthy, saturated fats, telling you not to eat eggs and steak, and ignoring a giant blind spot: refined carbohydrates, added sugars, ultra-processed food. We now have a generation of kids addicted to refined carbohydrates, low in protein. They are literally nitrogen negative because we've used old flawed studies that used urine nitrogen to estimate body protein metabolism, and they missed the mark. The old guidelines had such a low protein recommendation that we are increasing that by 50 to 100%. Kids need protein. The old protein guidelines were to prevent starvation and withering away. These new protein guidelines are designed for American kids to thrive, and they're based on science, not on dogma. We have 40% of our kids now with a chronic disease. It is not their fault. This is something that is the result of bad advice from the government and a medical establishment that for decades peddled research from a flawed 1960s model. Today, we are setting the record straight. This is not a willpower problem of our nation's kids. This is something adults have done to kids, and we're going to fix it.
Okay, so it kind of, he referenced kids quite a bit, and it really kind of starts with that, because we have, even when I was a kid, I was a big cereal junkie, and now that I know how bad cereal is for you, all the processed crap that's in it, I don't eat cereal anymore because and again, I think they were trying to add it to the pyramid. Maybe they did at one point. I remember seeing cereal, like the whole grains. They were kind of throwing that in as whole grains. I'm like, I'm not buying that. You know what I mean? So you notice in there, they talked a lot, about eggs and steak and eggs and all that. And what we don't understand really is the fact that, our brain is made of cholesterol. There's a lot of very beneficial things that cholesterol will do in our bodies. And for them to, and there's been studies, you can do some research on your own. Think about life expectancy. I know that graph up there in the video kind of showed that we were one of the lowest life expectancies. United States was. But with regards to kind of the people that they found in studies, that the ones that lived longer had overall higher cholesterol rates. So we're eating, they want to get you on all these drugs that keep your cholesterol down, and all these statins and things like that for blood pressure, all that stuff. And in reality, what happens is now it's you're starving your body of things it actually really needs. And again, I'm telling you, it's the whole big circle with regards to big pharma. It's all a plan. They want to keep us sick and make us sick, and make us sick first, then keep us sick, and then give us Band-Aids. And of course, we're gonna pay a lot of money for those things that we're now we're having to take because they recommend that we take them to stay healthy again. And like I was healthy a while ago before I started eating all this junk food, over years, of course, but. And in the picture there with the pyramid, of course, you saw the eggs and everything on the top, and steak and salmon and all that. You saw butter. There was butter on there, of all things. They thought, oh, butter's bad. You remember when they said butter was bad? Let's do seed oils instead. Some high temperature processed seed oils, and that's the healthy seed oil. No, there's nothing healthy about seed oils. Okay, they're horrible. Okay, so there's a huge misconception of in what your body really needs. And again, when you break it down and do research on what is really truly beneficial for your body, you'll see that this new pyramid, it makes total sense. And I'm telling you, it is entirely flipped. So we'll go ahead and put that a picture up on the screen here of our new pyramid versus the old pyramid. And we can kind of see some of those things. We'll see that some of the the vegetables and things like that are kind of maintained in the middle there. But with regards to the meat and poultries, those were. And he mentioned protein quite a bit too. That was a commissioner of the FDA, by the way. Okay, he talked about proteins. Replacing proteins with the sugars. Well, back then it was like, let's replace the sugars with the protein, and because fat comes with protein essentially. So for the most part, and they think, well, we get rid of the fat, they're going to get rid of the protein, and then we're going to replace it with these simple sugars that are going to, give kids ADHD and everything else under the sun, So there's all kinds of issues that we have come up with when it comes to, the unhealthy lifestyle that a lot of people have been leading because of what they've been recommending to eat. And I think that I didn't really pay attention to the food chart or the food pyramid. The thing is, they say a lot about it being common sense. Well, it should be. It should be common sense, but I'm telling you, with the media and with all the propaganda, I believe, over the food industry and everything that's going on with that, they're misleading us. And if you don't understand it, if you don't just have some common sense and some common knowledge on what you think is really going to work or not for your body. But think about us as humans. When we're carnivores, we are legitimately carnivores. And I know that the people on our plant protein or the vegans are all, they don't eat any meat or protein in that sense, fish or meat. So there are, there are some good proteins in plants, but there's also been some studies that show that protein isn't nearly as effective as actual meat and protein. So you think about back in the day when we were cavemen, and when we first were humans on this earth, we hunted, right, and we were active. And the other thing too about that is the amount of meals people were eating, long time ago. We didn't have access. If you're hunting your own food, you may not get another kill for, a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. Well, I think the concept of eating 3 meals a day is kind of made, people have changed it up a little bit, saying, let's eat 4 meals a day so your metabolism is up. And even that, there is a lot of, and I've talked about fasting a lot in previous episodes as well. So fasting is a big deal too. You don't understand how your body recycles, and it gets rid of all the affected cells and anything dangerous to your body. When you go through a fast, your body will take care of itself. It basically heals itself. And that's really what we're meant to do. Our bodies are supposed to heal itself. And you say with you are what you eat. Yeah, I think it's you are what you absorb. But regardless of what it is you absorb, you're still putting a bunch of junk in your body, and so your body will use the good stuff, of course, of what it can. But the other stuff is just like it doesn't know what to do with it. It's like in some cases there's some things that are not really recognizable. I mean, we're eating like bread. Bread in America isn't really food. It's a bunch of chemicals. It might look like food and like, bread, and it might have a texture and all that of bread, but there's a lot more chemicals in breads these days than there ever has been. Right. And so, with regards to kind of the idea behind that food pyramid is the fact that they've flipped it, and I'm happy. I'm really stoked about this because I would always want to eat the way that new food pyramid is showing. So, with regards to kind of that concept of having the ability to kind of know and understand. And again, people aren't going to, I would assume, I would think that, there might be some people that would hesitate with this. So I don't know if I believe that, because for all I've been alive, we've been eating grains because of the old pyramid. It's been going on for so long, but nobody really took the effort in actually doing some research. And again, it all comes down to our unhealthy, nation. Like, you have to wonder why we're so unhealthy. And so I think that there's things like this old pyramid that was so outdated, and then even the things they're adding to it, like cereals and things like that, it's just ridiculous. Like, how in the world are you going to tell me something that came from a processing plant that is in a box with an ingredient list of 1,000 things in it is something that you recommend that I eat on a daily basis? No, not at all. No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. And the other concept of other foods, again, like I mentioned, the eggs, the egg yolks, and I can't eat the yolks, I need egg whites. You don't understand how much great quality comes from the entire egg itself. I'm honestly thinking about getting on maybe a mostly egg diet. Like, I'm gonna give it a shot, because I've been watching and doing some research on people that are eating eggs majority of their time, and they discover that there's this huge transformation within their bodies, that because it becomes more natural. And I'm not saying I eat great now, but I would like to eat very, great. We're all victims of it, of course, because the industries have became, making food so addictive that it's hard to not eat cereal anymore. I don't eat cereal anymore. Sometimes I will, but it's going to be like, granola, some sort of granola cereal of some sort. But with regards to kind of some of the things that you see on the food pyramid, most of the things you see on there do not have an ingredients list. Yeah, there might be a yogurt thing in there. I'll pull it up again. There's, yogurt thing there. There's some other items in there that might have milk. Of course, milk is processed a little, depends on where you get it. That's the other thing too, that, shelf life is a huge deal for these industries, right? And I'm not sure now, other than a smell test. Now, milk, when it goes bad, but there's been things that have an expiration date on them that I'm like, I don't know. I'll eat it after the expiration date because it doesn't smell bad. And you think about like yogurts, like that's how yogurt becomes yogurt, and cottage cheese becomes cottage cheese, like over time. You have to let it ferment a little bit or whatever. You know what I mean? So with regards to kind of that concept of understanding, I was told a while ago that when you're looking at a food item that has a list of ingredients, you know that it's been processed, or it's been these ingredients have been put together in a plant somewhere. You look at bananas, no ingredients label on there. Steak, there's no ingredients on there. All your broccolis, your vegetables, salmons. Now that you get into the whole grains, you get into the breads. Now there's some ingredients. You get to the nuts, there's no ingredients, but just nuts, unless they throw a bunch of other stuff in there. Again, so when you understand that things with ingredients and multiple ingredients, and typically things that you can't even pronounce, just stay away from those. I mean, it's a very easy thing, easier said than done. But how important is your health to you? I've always said this. Your health today will be much less expensive, even though it might be a little bit more expensive to buy some of these foods. But follow me here. If you're eating healthy now, paying a little bit more here and there, in the long run, your health care and just in general will be a lot less expensive than if you're eating a bunch of junk today, because you're going to be on our crappy health care. Call it sick care, honestly, because that's what it is. It's care that they're providing, just enough to, not get us healthy, and they're not providing information on us to get until recently, of course. RFK, I think, has done a very good job of opening the eyes to people. But the sad part is, because we've been so conditioned all these years to believe what the old pyramid said, and the vaccines are safe and all this crap, that now people are questioning RFK, like, what, this guy's nuts. What do you mean? Do some research. And again, I don't want to get political here, but they always said, trust the science with the whole vaccine. How did that work out? How did that work out? What science are you trusting? The funded science by the deep state, we'll call them. I don't want to say Democrats anymore, because I think it's just it's an organization that is controlling the entire world. It goes way beyond Democrat and Republicans. I'm telling you. So when it comes to those kind of things, we're at the mercy of our government and things that we've been told. And I think the media is in bed with the deep state. I think they're paid off. I think that again, this is just my opinions. I think that there's been a push to promote bad stuff because again, it's a huge cycle. It's all about money and greed and power. I'm telling you, you guys, I think you should know that by now. If you don't know that, just dive into some research. Don't use Google. Use like DuckDuckGo or something else. Use a different search engine. Google can be a little persuasive at times too. They kind of hide their algorithms a little different, whatever. On purpose, I think, in my opinion, again, this is all my opinion. But I understand that there are people out there that rely on what they believe is the truth. But I'm telling you that for the longest time, and I think when COVID started, I think people started to, I know a lot of people started to open their eyes to like what's going on here. Nothing is adding up here. I was very quick to understand that. Didn't take me long to figure out when they're incentivizing the COVID shot with hamburgers and donuts and money. And when was the last time we ever had to be incentivized to take a vaccine that was supposed to save the world? And you're going to find out our death toll is still rising from that stupid shot. I'm not kidding. You think, oh, COVID killed a lot. No. The shot and the COVID protocol killed a lot of people. Regardless, now, if I put to tie those in together with regards to health and being a good, fit type of person, and you're healthy and you're eating good, most of the people, in my opinion, again, I believe that the ones that were not healthy, I had a personal friend of mine that I was on him all the time about stop drinking Diet Coke. His name is Bernie, and he passed away from COVID, although they did give him that remdesivir shot and they put a vent down his throat. 3 days later, he was dead. I mean, come on. So when you have and of course, I never took the shot. I think I got COVID, I guess, because I never got tested for it, but I felt weird or different. Okay. Not going to lie. I didn't do nothing. I did nothing but stay inside. I didn't take any Advil. I didn't take any pills. I just kept, eating and drinking fluids, water, good, healthy water. And I had no problems with it. Okay. So my point is that in general, I think that if the world is going to tell us to eat these crappy foods and you kind of have an idea like, yeah, I don't want to with the whole grains and the breads and all that stuff and cereal. Are you kidding me? I'm not stupid. Okay. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I just want to make sure that you understand it is kind of common sense. Like when you kind of just do a little bit of research and you can find out on your own that those things were not good for us. But for the longest time, we were told they were. And now we're all sick. Not say we, but in general, there's a lot of sick people in the world right now, and especially here in the United States. Well, then you throw this little COVID thing out there and the sick people are dying off. Okay, so understand there's a lot more benefits to being healthy than you might think. Oh, I look good. I feel good. Okay, great. Well, guess what? When the next pandemic comes, according to Bill Gates, that guy's a tool. Like, oh, man, don't get me started on that guy. Okay, I think he's the devil. I think a lot of people are the devil, honestly. Wow. But yeah, he's trying to play God. Bill Gates is. He's talking about population control. He's talking about all kinds of stuff, and now he wants to inject the skies in Canada. I think they've given him the green light with a COVID, a vaccine, sort of like mRNA experimental something or other. That's like you breathe in, and now you got the COVID shot. I mean, that's not. I didn't want that. Why are you doing this? So anyways, going back to my point, I think that there's a lot of people that have been misled. I think that the government has, the past governments, whether they knew it or not, maybe they ignored it. You think about studies, you think about, where our information comes from, where do the summary of everything we're talking about with health and nutrition and all that stuff, where did it start from? Who decided that eggs were bad for us, the egg yolks? Who decided red meat is bad for us? Who was it? I'm guessing it was somebody that was funded by the deep state side. Those kind of people who are going to, and again, you can learn a lot about the COVID and the vaccine and everything about that whole issue when you look and do some research on what started to happen around that time. they started to really, make you feel bad for not trusting their science. I'm not even going to say the science. I'm going to say their science. And those scientists are very wealthy right now because they paid them a lot of money to make a document that says egg yolks are bad for you. Okay. Steak is bad for you. Okay. Protein, this and that, those sugars are bad. All these studies, like I'm telling you, there's a lot of studies that are misleading and not true at all. And so when you say trust the science, I'm going to cringe first off. Like, what science are you talking about? Which scientists are you talking about? What article, what paper are you talking about? Where's their credibility? And who supports them? You just follow the money, go down some rabbit holes like I've done a lot of, and you'll find these kind of things out. So with that said, I'll stop my rant now and let you all get going. Obviously, you can turn me off anytime you want to, but I just want to make sure that you guys understand. I believe, again, this is all my personal opinion. I believe this new pyramid is great. I think it's obvious they've basically just flipped everything. You have proteins on the high end and sugars and things start to get on the low end. Stop eating the sugars and the processed foods and the whole grains, things like that. Eat more chicken, beef, all that kind of stuff, and vegetables, of course, as well. So I think we're going to start learning a lot more about what we have been accustomed to and the foods that we have been eating, and then it's all going to come together. You're all going to figure out why we're so sick. And understand that it's a huge cycle, and only the rich are getting richer, the more powerful are getting more powerful. But I think we're in the process of making a big change in stopping that. So it's all bottom line is, put things in your body that you want in your body to make you a better person, and understand what it is you're eating. And because your body is your temple. Okay. And, God made us and said, this is your body, take care of it. Okay. But when we are handcuffed with the only type of foods that we have access to, it's hard. Now, don't get me wrong. There's farmers markets, there's flea markets that have all kinds of foods and things like that people grow, and they go to these little markets and they sell. Okay. Well, yeah, what pesticides they use. I understand that, but I can probably guarantee you that the things that the local farmers are farming and selling to you are a heck of a lot better than anything out that comes from a grocery store. I'm leery about I don't even know what they put on there. And again, you think, this government's, it's safe. Government will hurt us. Don't buy into that crap. Don't buy into that crap. Like the government's not going to hurt you. They don't care about you in a sense. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there's a lot of misinformation out there on the side of what foods they were telling us were healthy, and now we're discovering. I've known for a long time, and many others have as well. But there's not a lot of good food out there that we've been having access to. So, with that said, I hope you guys have an amazing Monday night. Football's Monday Night Football. Is there? No, there's no games tonight. The playoff games are this last weekend, so I'm losing track of time. But yeah, watch more football. You got the national championship coming up on the 19th. That would be a good one. And obviously more NFL playoffs. So tune on your TVs and watch some football and enjoy your life with some healthy, organic type of foods, and get in that gym. Get yourself. Hopefully, you guys are still with your whole New Year's going on. If you had any resolutions about your health, your diet, your fitness, all that stuff, I hope you guys are still doing it. Okay, get over that hump. You'll coast from that point on. And you'll be thankful, and you'll really thank yourself for doing that. So have a good night, and I love you guys all. I'll see you next Monday night.
Thank you for watching Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.